G'day guys, Matty B here from Diesel Geeks, and today let's talk about 1VD piezo injector testing. Okay, so generally speaking, if we have a vehicle that has 250,000 kilometers, we're not a massive proponent to do testing. Now, obviously, if we're chasing specific issues, sure, but generally speaking, testing fees are $60 odd plus forensics if we need to go down that path. And then also, by the time you're spending that sort of money on 8 injectors, especially for a 1VD, you're a long way to replacing the injector. And so, obviously, not so much for the injector cost itself, but more so from a perspective of the labour to remove and refit it. So it's around half the price, probably, all in, to test it as it is to actually just replace them. Now, obviously, testing is good for us. We make money on that, which is great margin. So I'm trying to not do myself out of work here. But 1VD piezos are a really interesting scenario, which I actually sort of am starting to think that it might be a good idea. Now, firstly, just the unit cost of these things at $750, $800, $850 is just massive. And so, for the price of a set of injectors for these things, if you had a D-Max or a Navara or something, you're buying a whole fucking engine. So that's one aspect, right? And generally speaking, we're seeing a lot with electrical issues that are failing on just one. One presented to us just the last couple of days that had a very unique scenario where one whole bank was down. Now, this is the first time I've seen this fault, but basically 2 injectors on this bank had very, very excessive leak back. And so what would have been happening, yes, those injectors would not have been firing very well, but they would have been firing okay. But what was actually happening is that there's only one bridging pipe that goes from left-hand rail to right-hand rail. And so basically that rail wouldn't have been able to get supplied enough fuel. And so the effective rail pressure and therefore the effective fuel that was injected into that bank would have been lower. So interesting scenarios. But yeah, it's one of those scenarios where I think testing might actually be a plausible path forward. We can replace the few that need to be done. Obviously, it's still not a cheap exercise. At the end of the day, whatever has taken these out, it's a mechanical failure in these, it's not electrical. And so you would assume that some sort of fuel contamination or something has gone through. And so under those scenarios, I think it's probably most plausible, if you can afford it, to replace the full set. But if not, testing, validating the bad actors, replacing just those, and refitting the known good actors is the most cost-effective solution, if maybe not the longest lasting. So anyway, hopefully that helped. Something a little bit different for our Thursday. But yeah, anyway, feel free. I'd love to hear your feedback on whether you guys get injectors tested or not. It's generally starting to become something that's not that well done. Just because at the end of the day, the scan tools are so good, the data we're getting out of the ECU is so good, it's not very necessary for the most part. Anyway, thanks so much. Have a great day.